Bríd O'Donohue, thanks a lot for coming on into Queally's and starting off with a lovely reel.
Thanks, Mark.
And so we have to talk about where we are before we start talking about yourself. So Queally's, it stopped being a bar about 20 years ago, but it was an iconic kind of really central place in the music of Miltown for the Willie Clancy School anyway.
It was, for sure, a great house, and there was always a great welcome, and they loved to see the musicians coming in, particularly for the Willie Clancy week. But it was a great house of music. If there was a visitor around as well, if the old stalwarts that used to come here, like Séamus Innes and Sean McDonagh, and there was always a great welcome here for the music. And Willie Clancy played a lot here in his time as well. But I remember some great sessions here over the Willie Clancy weeks. It was if you could get in.
Yes, because Tom and Baby were great hosts and hostesses.
They were, yeah, and they'd have the sandwiches later on. Then they look after the people.
They look after people.
Yeah.
Well, so it's great to be back here, and it's home from home. So just to talk about yourself, and if we want to bring us back to your early years and your first encounters with music, and when did you start playing?
I started in Anna School in Anna down near the Cross of Anna, the national school there, and the teacher that was there at the time was Tessie Walsh, and she was Cissy Crehan's sister, Donald Crehan's sister-in-law. Yeah. So she played. Like in all the national schools, you get a chance to learn a bit anyway. But we were particularly lucky that she had a great range of reels and jigs and everything. She had all the old tunes. So she gave everyone the chance to start, and then if you were anyway interested, she brought you on to the next level, you know.
Yeah.
So it was great. So we were playing reels and jigs, leaving. There was a lot of us in Ennis School.
And that was in primary school?
In primary school.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as going for classes or lessons or being driven to anything that time, you know.
But obviously you had an interest, you were interested in it, and you liked it, yeah. Yeah,
and then, you know, whatever I'd learn, I'd be playing it for JC, or, you know, he'd put another touch in it, and
So tell us tell everyone who JC was, JC Talty.
Oh, right, yeah, JC Talty was my uncle. Yeah. JC used to play the whistle and the flute. He played the flute with the Tulla Queally band, and he played the pipes, and he was mad about the music. And he would have been great friends with Willie Clancy as well. And my uncle was married to Willie Clancy's sister, Mary Clancy. So we had a great connection with Willie Clancy growing up. And JC was great friends with him. JC was his best man.
Right.
And we were great friends with Doreen, Willie's wife, Doreen Healy. And we have a lovely photograph of JC as the best man at their wedding. It was taken above at Sean McDonagh's house. You could see MacDara on the photograph. There's a small little piece of it, you can see it on it.
You could see him with his head tucked in. Yeah.
But
so again, there was a great musical family connection with music there with JC.
There was, yeah.
Well, and again, so your favourite instrument is whistle and concert flute.
Yeah, I played the flute as well. I'd have learned the flute from being in JC's and the Sundays and using his flute to try and learn a few tunes on the flute. Found it awful hard to blow it, of course, but I'd only get a chance every Sunday when I'd be inside at his house to try, you know, the flute with the ivory top.
Yes.
But eventually, when I was in my 20s and when I was working, I bought a flute and got it from Padder O'Loughlin's brother, Sean O'Loughlin, sourced it. They used to be getting instruments back from England that time. Yeah. They'd be buying them in antique shops. So he sourced one for me.
And was that an old...
It was an old, 150 sterling was 180 Irish pounds at the time. A fortune, but sure, it is not now.
No, but you had to do it. And we were just talking to Paul McGrattan earlier on about all the flute player makers now compared to the last 25 years. But as I say, when we were teenagers, they were very thin on the ground. Very
hard to get them, you know, and then, like, that was a lot of money that time.
Yeah.
You know, but I treated myself to that when I started working and got the flute.
You never look back anyway.
No, and I suppose I love the whistle more than the flute in ways, but I love playing the flute with other people, you know. Yeah. I get a kick out of playing the whistle at home and putting on tapes and putting on recordings and playing along with them, you know.
Sure. So growing up, obviously JC was your uncle. He would have been a big influence. But in terms of the other musicians again, you know, West Clare is kind of really one of the major centres for music. Who else was notable in when you were growing up?
Sure, Michael Falsey and Jonah Crehan and Bobby Casey when he came off from England, Michael Downs, fiddle player, Joe Conneen, whistle player in Quilty, John Finnell, another lovely whistle player.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't stir out that much, they'd only play in Quilty. Well, Michael Falsey might move around a bit more, but Joe Conneen and John Finnell, you had to go to Quilty to meet them. And they'd play there in the pub in Quilty. They were lovely people.
All the way from Miltown to Quilty.
Ah, yeah.
2 miles down the road.
Yeah.
So there was a good, as you say, there was a good body of players in the area.
There was, and there's Mikey Cleary, another lovely whistle player out the road here. And he played the whistle and the flute. Josie Hayes, Paddy Galvin. Paddy Galvin played the fiddle and Josie Hayes.
And they used to play in the crosses, and they used to play out in coolers.
That's right, yeah. Every Sunday night, it was a big treat. Yeah.
And all the dancing, you remember well the dances in Cool with Sissy.
That's right. And she'd have a stool and she'd take a rest when the tops would be doing it, when they'd be on sides, or if she was on top, whichever was the opposite, they'd have a stool and she'd sit back and wait for her turn to get up again. Yeah, they were great characters.
Yeah.
But they really listened to the music, you know, they followed the music. The music didn't follow them, you know, that was the generation they were, and they totally enjoyed it and they respected the music.
Yeah.
You know, there was a great connection. They really listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were fortunate in many ways, growing up around here to be able to absorb all the local musicians.
And I didn't fully appreciate all that at the time. That was the norm. I was going out and I was mixing with JC's friends. I didn't realise until, I suppose, I knew that I was having a great time playing with all these great musicians, but I didn't realise that they were the stalwarts at the time. You know what I mean? They were just, I was delighted to be in the thick of it, playing with all those musicians. But no more than, like, I would say, Willie Clancy, I didn't fully appreciate at the age I was at. The person that I was going in to visit, because Doreen and my mother were friends, so we just call in there when we were in town and meet Willie and meet Doreen, and tis now I look back and my lads would just love to think that they were inside in meeting Willie Clancy. They were old enough to remember Doreen.
Yes.
And I remember Doreen died when Liam was born.
Right.
Yeah.
But as you say, and what's interesting, I think you'll agree that the generations didn't seem to make a difference. If you were 25, you could be playing with somebody who's 75.
Yeah, it didn't matter. And they had awful welcome, you know. I remember when John Kelly and all the musicians would be down for the earlier Willie Clancy weeks, you know, when you'd go in and meet all the others like Michael Russell and people, they now, I suppose, begin to realise that I had seen these people only on television, and I was meeting these walking the street in Miltown, and maybe been inside playing with them because they were so welcoming to it didn't matter once you played, and that's it. It didn't matter what walk of life you were from or what age you were.
Sure. And obviously you've been involved in the Willie Clancy Summer School for a long time, and eventually you started teaching it.
Yeah,
roughly,
about the third year, I think. I was only in my early teens,
yeah.
And I was in a class when Morish came in and took me out and said, would I take a beginner, adult beginner class? And I was in with Derek de Bruin for the 2 years, and I was in his class for the third year. I remember Mary Bergam was teaching whistle at the time, but they had more numbers than they expected, and Morish came in and asked to know would I
got drafted.
would I, and I'm there since.
Yeah.
That's a while ago now.
But again, obviously you've been teaching this week for many years.
Yes.
But also, again, I think to be fair, you've a great reputation as being a teacher of musicians, young people coming in the last, well, let's say, couple of generations, I think.
Yeah, just going on a while now. I got married in '87 and I moved for a big move from Quilty to Miltown again.
Yes.
Moved from Caherush to Glendine, and remember Donald LeBarra knocked on the door and asked, would I be, you know, teaching music now that I was living in Miltown, and would I take his children? And I hadn't thought about it, but I did, and I started off from home, and they were coming to the house, and then there was an awful lot coming to the house, and next thing was Bernadette McCarthy and myself started in the Clare Care Centre up the Blard Road, and we did that for a while, and then we moved to the hall, and that's a lot of years too.
Sure.
Shoving up in 40 now, I suppose.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great because so you put a lot of young people through your hands, and now you have a special music area at home for teaching people now.
We converted the shed for a finish because between rent and insurance and everything, it got expensive to run it, and so we said trying to get keys of a hall and wet evenings and queuing for things, and so we converted the garage at the back of the house, and I have my own little place at the back. We call it Ceol, but there's DDS there version.
Some of them are young and some of them not so young.
Mostly. And sure, then after COVID, I started doing it online and started doing it on WhatsApp. And I changed things again.
So you become a very techie.
Well, I didn't know what the word Zoom meant.
Everybody had to get used to Zoom.
Yeah.
But again, I know there's mixed views on competition, but a lot of your students have gone on to, Clare and Munster and All Ireland trials, and they've done great.
Yeah, I suppose I put very little emphasis on that. But it's there for them if they want to do it, and I'd help them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm always trying to say that my big thing is to promote the love of it and the love of playing. I'd have loads of lovely whistle players that had never compete.
Yes.
And I think it can be good and bad. It's for some people, but not for others. And it can have a negative effect on some musicians that might be shy and not able to perform, but would really have the music, but they may not be able to perform and do it on the day under pressure. And then there's others who thrive on it. Yeah. But I would have had a few who were very successful. But once they keep playing throughout their life, I'd consider that a bigger success. Once if I meet them here and they say they're still playing and they're adults now, that's great for me.
Yeah, it's enjoyable rather than just having medals.
Yeah, because a lot of those, it might be just an activity, and they might excel at that activity, and if they weren't doing it, if they hadn't the grow, they may not keep it up.
Yeah.
But some do. You couldn't. There's no full answer, I suppose, for that one.
Sure. So maybe another tune, Bríd. Your own choice. What was that one, Bríd?
That's Tony Molloy's, and it's only of recent years that I got the name of it, because we always called it just JC's G, because we learned it from him. Yeah. Every now and again he'd come over and he'd get a fit of playing, and now and again I'd say, can I record it, because that's how I've learned loads of tunes from him, that in later years, that when he'd be in the mood, if he was on a roll, to get him playing, and you'd know an odd one, and then you might know the other ones, and I'd record away, and I have some lovely tapes at home, and we always call that one JC's G, but it's Tony Molloy's is the proper name for it. Yeah.
It's great that you had the foresight to be able to record and capture it, because otherwise you'd be annoyed at yourself that you didn't.
Yeah, and if you asked him to know would he come in and play a tune and can I tape it, he'd say no. But when the going was good, and if you said all right, put on the tape recorder, he didn't mind if he was in the mood.
You got him right time.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Bernadette McCarthy earlier on when you were doing the classes, but I know that the two of you played in fields together.
We did
for a number of years on Saturday nights. You were permanent fixture somewhere. But and again, that was a nice combination of flute and fiddle together.
Oh, yeah, we had great nights there. And I started with Tommy. I said I did about maybe 7 years with Tommy. And when Tommy died, Tommy McCarthy, her father. Yeah, and I really enjoyed playing with him. And again, the generation didn't matter. It was just the combination of the music, and we liked the same things, and we'd play away, for the session, and out in the night he'd be saying, we'll do a few of our specialities, and he loved set dances, and I loved set dances as well, and I developed lots of set dances from him, just playing tunes. I love that part of the night when the crowd aren't really listening to you, and you can play away and be experimenting, But then Bernadette stepped in when Tommy died, and we had it was a great night out on the Saturday night, and sure, we'd be only delighted when we'd be looking out the door, see yourself or John Kelly or who else might stick their head in and join us. It was a great session. It lasted for years.
No, I remember it well. It was always great
and great fun
and great fun and stories as well as music.
Yeah.
So your family are great musicians, and and again, it's not surprising that they've taken to the music. And I mean, in your house, you can hear pipes, harp, fiddle, flute. You can hear everything, can't you?
Yeah.
Concertina.
Yeah.
Well.
They all started on the whistles, and they loved the whistles, and they did piano because I hadn't ever got a formal grounding in music. I hadn't learned to read it or anything until I went to secondary school and had to do it as a subject. But everything I ever learned was by ear, so I never learned from notation or anything. So I let them off for piano lessons and, to give them the chance.
Yeah.
And they all did the whistle. And then after a while, they were picking instruments. Maybe I give them a little nudge towards pipes now. The two girls play the pipes, but not as much as they should right now. Yeah. But JC left his set of pipes to Eilish, and Deirdre has a set. Well, she's a Kitog. They're all Kitogs, except the one real Kitog in the house is Eilish, and they all play whistle left-handed, and they're right-handed.
They're right-handed. Okay.
Children, and the one who is the Kitog plays right-handed. Isn't that gas? So JC was delighted that they weren't going to have to change the bag around,
And you were Kitog as well.
Yeah, and I'm a Kitog. I suppose they copied me, and I never said yes or no, because I don't think it makes any great difference at all. But so I remember Liam wanted to play. He used to love listening to Sheridan Shannon. When he was inside a playpen, he used to be going sha sha when he'd hear her coming on. Right, so he wanted to be able to play the accordion that looked like a 50p piece. That's what he always said he wanted to play.
Okay, yes.
And Deirdre plays the harp, Sean plays the flute, and Sinead plays the fiddle.
Yeah.
And they were all playing when JC was alive, which was great. But he used to always put him through the paces, and he'd go, what you learned this week? And they were Liam was going to Noel Hill, and he'd be wanting to know what do they do in the class, and the girls were going over to Peter Laban. They whistle with me, but they learned their other instruments from other people. Yeah,
but it must have been great for JC to see that next generation of your kids kind of following on and being interested. You know?
Yeah, because you'd wish that they would, but they may not. So it's great to see it, and it's the passing down that's happening around to ourselves. And I see they lived for the Willie Clancy week no more than myself, and they went to the classes here every year.
Yeah.
And sure, it was a great experience for them. And now there's 3 of them teaching here. Liam is doing it with a few years. Deirdre's teaching the harp for the first year.
Yeah.
And Eilish is filling in for Anne Sheehy this year.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, the funny part of that is the year that Anne Sheehy started teaching here, it was the year I was missing. And to have Eilish was born on the 23rd of June.
Okay, right.
And here comes the baby of 35 is now replacing her.
The wheels turn around.
Sure. Yeah.
But and again, you have a special draw for the pipes. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I love the pipes. Yeah,
Did you ever have a crack at them yourself?
I used to remember putting on JC's pipes inside and turning them upside down and trying it. But no, I never made a right try at them. I never tried them seriously, I suppose. I said to Mick O'Brien last year, when he came off the pipe and recital, I said, I'm definitely going to start. I said, I'm never too late. When I heard it, I said, oh God, there's a left-hand set below at the house, and I'm just going to try. But I did nothing this year either. But I would be very much influenced by piping tunes, and I just love the pipes. I just love the sound.
That's what
it puts the knot there now.
Yeah, well, your selection of tunes that I know over the years, you have a grow for the pipes again, and those particular tunes again.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you have two pipers in the family, anyway. Sort of.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Willie Clancy Summer School. I think a lot of people regard it as a special week, and again for making friends as well. But in terms of young people playing now, apart from your own family, I mean, what's your view about the state of Irish music at the moment with young people?
I think it was never as full of young musicians. In my generation, there wasn't that many. There was Sean Talty, Marianne Sexton, Patrick Wickham, there wasn't an awful lot in the locality. It's like there was a bit of a skip of a generation. But I think the Willie Clancy has played a huge part in it. You know, that they were doing it in national school, and then they went off to the Willie Clancy week then for the week. And I'd say they got the bug, a lot of them. Yeah. You know, it's that whole thing of making the friends and meeting them again the following year. You know, no more than meeting year. When I was growing up, and the McCarthy's and all the people that came, you know, for the year, the Kellys and the Glackens, and I got to know all them. Now I see all my children friendly with all their children again, you know, and it's lovely. But I do think that it had a huge influence in the continuation of the music, you know, that it influenced the younger ones. They may not have been too taken with having to do it in school, but then when they went and saw what it was like and they met youngsters playing, it made it cool, I suppose, for them, that it was an activity that they really enjoyed doing outside of having to go to classes or whatever, you know. Yeah, because I think it cemented it for them, you know.
They can hang out with people of their own age,
yes,
and they think and everyone is on the same page.
Yeah.
So the other aspect again in terms of teaching, how do you? I mean, it might be a difficult question to answer, but what's the best way to teach somebody to play the whistle or flute in terms of is it ABC? Is it the formal cleft? Is it ear? Is it all three? Or?
Well, right from the baby beginners, from the twinkle twinklers, I never allow paper in the class, as in not to look at it. They have to watch and listen and do it by ear, even if it's only one line of twinkle twinkle. But I give them the notes going home in GAB. And I'm very slow at writing it out because I never had to do anything by notation myself. But I had to learn how to do the GAB system. Yeah. So I do write out the tunes, but I try and wean them off the notes. You know, once they go on to jigs and reels, I let them off with the easier tunes to do that they can have their notes going home. But eventually I get them onto recordings only. And I think if they can do that, and I would say the less you teach, the better. That if they get maybe a half a tune per week, and if they really know it, rather than having a folder of tunes.
Yes.
And if they have it off by ear, I'm always saying to them, well, if you're going to your granny's now, you'll always have your ear which you won't have your folder. But I do think teaching by ear is the best way to go.
Yeah. And
people that would transfer from another class, from another teacher, they find it hard initially, but then after a while they'd admit that it's way easier because you're all the time looking at the paper if you have the notes in front of you. Now it is nice to get them as backup, you know, when you're starting off. They all record, but they have the notes as backup, you know, for the easier tunes and the marches and the few polkas and that. But as soon as they're the first jig or two done, I'd be aiming to get them off the notes that are totally dependent on the recording.
And the other thing that's, I think, a bit controversial is speed as well in Irish music. I mean, you play very steady. A lot of people, again, around here steady, but is there a worry that some young people, particularly, are racing through the tune, playing too fast and knocking the full value of it? Is that fair, or is it?
Some do. I think it's in the spirit of it. After many's the night I was caught in a session where I'd be the culprit played as fast as everyone else. Yeah. But that's because you get caught up in the spirit of it. But I suppose once that isn't the norm. That you know that I prefer the steady, nice pace to play, because you're cutting corners. Then if you're playing at an awful fast level. And if children are at an in-between stage, they would be cutting corners, and they would be hiding in a session situation, rather than playing it nice and steady and getting everything in. You know, they'd be leaving out ornamentation to keep up with speed. And it is okay if you're caught up in the moment, but I mean, not for it to be a general thing. I think you'd lose a lot of the feeling of the music if you play too fast.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you can allow for the spirited sessions as well. But I think the real thing is to take it handy.
I think you're right. A lot of us have got caught up in the moment over the years.
Yeah.
That would account for the speed. So I think we'll finish with a tune, Bríd, and just thanks again for coming in, sharing your thoughts.
Thanks for asking me.
And for the ITMA, I think it's great to have people like yourself coming in, telling the story, and particularly here in Miltown for this week, as being somebody from the town and keeping the music alive the other 51 weeks a year, which is very important. So thanks again, Bríd, and if you will finish up with a tune of your own selection. Thanks, Bríd.
Okay.